Thanks for having me. Dick was a great setup to talk about a watershed council because we were originally formed by units of government to care about and protect water, a local resource. And what happened is in 1965, 17 units of government came together and said, who cares about this shared resource beyond our political boundaries? And they came together and they said, we can't just look at our water resources from our city boundary or our township boundary. We need to form a local entity that can help us manage water resources. So the Watershed Council was formed. I'm going to be talking a lot about water. And one of the things that's easier for me to talk about tonight is a watershed because we've had so much rain today. And so it's very easy to sort of illustrate the watershed is defined by where rain falls that eventually makes its way to the Huron. The largest watershed we all think of that everybody learns about in 5th grade is the Continental Divide, where everything to the east goes to the Atlantic and to the west goes to the Pacific. If you keep taking those down to a watershed level, we're in the Great Lakes watershed, we're in the Lake Erie watershed, and you're now sitting in the Huron River watershed. One of the things about water and watersheds is that sometimes people overlook some of the values that water and watersheds bring us. So just some of the, where we think that water is very plentiful in the Great Lakes, it's easy to take for granted all of the services that it provides. The Huron River system is arguably the most prominent natural feature in the area. And so I just highlighted some of the services that the watershed does provide. In the Ann Arbor area, we especially think of it in terms of drinking water because we get 85% of our drinking water from the Huron River. But some of the other things that I think are more intangible are property values, wildlife habitat, stormwater control, and recreation. Some of the things that we are blessed with in the Huron through a lot of hard work in many cases. The Huron is the only river in southeast Michigan designated a natural rivers river, I guess I'd say, or a natural river. It affords the Huron some very special protection in terms of vegetative setbacks and building setbacks. By having had a lot of focus on the watershed and very progressive communities, we have some very strong local and regional regulations and some very strong partnerships, the city being predominantly one of them, but up and down the entire river. With the Huron-Clinton Metropolitan Authority and many of our forward-thinking parks departments, we have a wealth of recreational and fishing opportunities, and I list there a bunch of the endangered and threatened species, with wonderful names. But we also have our share of some problems in the Huron. We have many impaired water bodies. This is a designation that comes under the Clean Water Act, meaning it is impaired. It can't meet certain designated uses for swimming, for fishing, for navigation. In the Huron, one of our largest problems is excess phosphorus, nutrients that are coming off the landscape, exposed soils, our lawns. We also have problems with E. coli, especially in our urban areas after heavy rain events. That's coming from a lot of animal feces, but sometimes human waste with illicit connections, pipes that should be going to the wastewater treatment plant that are hooked up to the stormwater. We have very erratic flows. We do get low dissolved oxygen. We have, as many lakes in Michigan do, mercury problems, which are atmospheric mercury deposition. And we also have sort of historic contamination, especially with PCBs. Those are some of the problems, the data. This gets a little bit to why. Why do we have some of these problems? We've lost a lot of our natural areas in this area as we've been sandwiched between sort of the Detroit and Lansing area, and Ann Arbor has become its own very large urban area. We've lost a lot of the natural green infrastructure and natural areas, the wetlands, floodplains. We have 97 dams that we know of, and probably another 50 that we don't know of, and lake level control structures. This changes the flow patterns tremendously, make very erratic flows. Similarly, non-point source pollution adds to those erratic flows and also some of our pollution problems. Non-point source pollution is really what you see, especially if you walk out today and you look at where the rain is falling on the rooftops, to the gutters, on the roads, and going into our storm drains. It's warmer water. It's carrying a lot of pollutants directly to the river. Non-point source pollution is now the #1 cause of water pollution in the U.S., so we are not alone in terms of battling these problems. What are some of the tools that we have at the watershed level? We have very strong collaborative and watershed-wide partners. As I've mentioned before, the city is a strong partner, but up and down the watershed from Oakland County to Livingston, Washtenaw, and Wayne, we have very strong partners and stakeholders that come together and develop watershed management plans that talk about either protecting high-quality resources or restoring those resources. We have very good data sets. The Huron is the best studied river in Michigan. We have been studying this river for a very long time through our work and also with partnership with the University of Michigan and a lot of graduate students and PhD students. We have very good data sets on the river. We also have a great capacity to educate and advocate for policies. It's a lot of what we do at the Watershed Council. I always sort of joke as we push people to do more to protect the river. A lot of times we're bringing the data to the table, we're pushing, we're urging, we're advocating, we're trying to secure resources, we're trying to make things happen. Couple of examples, if I still have some time there. Water quality monitoring program. This is collecting information from the tributaries. And I see I am running out of time, so I'll race through these. Our Adopt a Stream program, again, this is promoting stewardship while also collecting good data. The value of having these eyes on the river is we're tracking the long-term trends. We have a scientific basis for a lot of the local and statewide policies. We've been able to secure a lot of restoration and protection projects in our watershed, and you see those around town. We have river and lake-wide management plans that allow us to attract federal funds under the Clean Water Act. And we do a lot of reporting out to our partners. I will stop there. I have one more project to talk about, but maybe we'll get to it in the questions. But thank you.